Hi, I'm Eric D'Amato.
It's me, YouTube!
And welcome back to Mindbreakers.
Yes, the show that gives you the headaches.
Today, Gio will be choosing the movie.
Yes.
But before we get into that, we do have some bad news.
My turn.
We do have some bad news first, though.
Slight bad news, but good
Nelson,
news also.
For all intents and purposes,
will not be part of Mindbreakers anymore.
He might return eventually.
Maybe at some point.
At the moment, he is... I mean, he hasn't been in an episode in a long time, but this is now we're making it official. I've talked to him. He's confirmed it. No hard feelings, obviously, but he is currently no longer a member of Mindbreakers. He's going to be
switching his focus mainly off of doing movie reviews and Let's Plays, and he wants to instead take more time to himself during the talk to his family.
The specific reasons are not your business.
Yes.
If you want to know, and you know Nelson, ask Nelson.
Yeah.
It's not really ours to discuss.
Away from that though, he will be joining me on my channel, The Tank Base.
You probably have already seen
Small World podcast.
That very meandering, angry episode.
He was on episode 2, and he's gonna probably be on episode 4 also.
He did not sound like he wanted to be on episode 2.
But he also really, really does want to. He wants to.
But he sounded like a very angry boy.
Yeah, well, he is quite mad, and I understand entirely why. But also, he will be just reporting the news and other stuff. But
I am hoping to get him back on, just
he will be missed.
Not to do a movie review, but to do a Let's Play, because I kind of want to do Ultimate Spider-Man, and he really likes that game, seeing as how Venom's his favorite thing.
He might come back for maybe 1 or 2 Let's Plays at some point. But anyways,
and there are a few already reported times he will be in certain Let's Plays, so look forward to that. But
for all intents and purposes, he's not going to be around as much.
It's just me, Gio, and Matt, and occasionally Mike. Though Mike's mainly there for special episodes.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to be doing some podcasts with him at some point also.
With Mike?
Yeah,
cool.
Some point. For today,
check out his Small World podcast and his show.
Check out my channel. Just go over there and do whatever you guys want to do. Just have a good time over there.
It's in my related channels.
Asses. Shake some asses, guys. Go out there and shake some booties. But
I do appreciate that you've referenced America 3000. I'm afraid.
And it's not going to be America 3000.
Neggy president here is Corpus.
It's just Corpus.
Corpus.
Today, Neggy a president will be talked about.
Good.
But
are you sure? What's the movie?
We're going to be. I brought something today.
Oh, is it on the list?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And I've been wanting to talk about this one for quite some time because you know what? This thing is amazingly crazy.
Oh, good.
In the mental and in the good and bad ways.
Is it insane in the mental?
Inside of your minds, this shall manifest the states of being.
Oh God! It's an altered states. Oh no!
Go! Come on! Let's get this show on the road. So, altered states is this really crazy trippy movie that I found. Probably the most weird thing and most amazing thing that I found at the movies at the movie warehouse was this thing.
1980.
Yep, and it was really, really something to watch.
6 out of 9. A Harvard scientist conducts experiments on himself with a hallucinatory drug and an isolation chamber that may be causing him to regress genetically.
Yes, and it goes through just one twist after another, and it just keeps you completely on your toes. I can't wait to watch this with you.
It stars William Hurt as Eddie Jessup.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else I know here?
Maybe one other person.
So far, no.
It was mostly just kind of low-level actors, but it is quite good. I had a great time watching this.
This has been on the list for a while. Gio always wanted it to be his, and we're amazed it never showed up on the wheel until now.
Yeah, because it was just there. But
just
I also told you, I'm going to bring this up.
Wait, is this revenge for giving Mini-Matt Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter?
It might be if you don't like it, I guess. But I'm hoping you actually do, because this thing's quite weird, and I can't wait to like.
You won't know this if you actually. You probably won't know this with all the. If you listen to my Let's Plays, or watch my Let's Plays, and listen to these. I actually want to like things.
Yeah, I know.
I don't go out looking to hate things, but sometimes things are just bad, and you have no choice but to hate them.
Yeah, but you know what? This thing is, it's something that I sat down and I studied for a little bit because, being super interested in weird stories like this, I wanted to kind of just dissect this thing, and it's quite needy. So I'm hoping you guys.
There's the last thing that I guess we can say before jumping in on this is, bless our drugs.
Yeah, bless our drugs, bless our acid, bless our weird heroines that we put inside the zombies' mouths. Bless it all, guys. Just get fucked up and have fun.
In the basement of one of the country's leading medical schools, Dr. Edward Jessup, candidate for a Nobel Prize, is conducting the most dangerous experiment in the history of science. And the subject of the experiment is himself.
Ask him what kind of an experience I can expect.
The noise is deafening.
He's blacked out.
What happens during these blackout periods is you get the feeling of phenomenal acceleration, like you're being shot out over millions, billions of years. Time simply obliterates.
You guys are shooting up with an untested drug that stacks up in the brain and works in the nucleus of the cell, and you don't call that dangerous.
I'm asking you to put the experiment off until we understand a little more in order to minimize the risk. I'm really frightened. We could be screwing around with his whole genetic structure. Now, how do we stop this?
We've got millions of years stored away in that computer bank we call our minds. We have got trillions of dormant genes in us, our whole evolutionary past. Perhaps I've tapped into that.
He may be onto something that is beyond our own comprehension. Now, because I believe him, I want this thing stopped.
The hell was that? You okay?
If you love me, Eddie, defy it!
Well,
so we just came back from the edge of psychosis.
We had to take a moment to get some food and get our thoughts in order before we could properly discuss this thing.
What was Jessup's wording exactly? Before I reconstitute?
Yeah,
we had to reconstitute for a second.
Yeah, we did.
So this movie's a bunch of peaks and valleys.
Pretty good.
You liked it.
Yeah,
I'm glad you did.
You asked me how I compared this to Neon Demon.
Yeah,
this actually built suspense effectively.
Yes,
because stuff was happening and it was interesting. It just wasn't out of the ordinary.
This is very true.
As opposed to Neon Demon, where nothing fucking happened for an hour.
Yeah,
and then suddenly, Neon Demon, I described as nothing. Holy shit!
Yeah.
But this was an actual build.
Yeah, this was paced very well. It doesn't take too long to start.
Nope.
Which is what I was hoping for kind of when I first wanted to watch it. I was like, I wonder what this is paced like. And then I put it on and then I found myself just entranced in it within 10 minutes.
One thing we're not going to be discussing much is the actual visions he has.
Well, the visions are just kind of super crazy trance trips.
Watch this movie.
Yeah, you need to interpret them, I feel, in your own ways. But I will be kind of telling at least my interpretation of them.
Yeah, but we're not going to go in depth discussing every scene. We're not
going to be going over the
because we can't.
If we did that, we'd literally take away all of everybody else's opinions on them, and to take away someone's opinion is not why I'm here.
I hope you've been doing what I've been doing with these movies. I have not for each of these movies.
Are you talking to the audience or me?
You.
Okay.
The audience can do whatever they like, frankly. Yeah. But you. Because, like, I have posters for every movie on the list.
Yeah, of course.
For most of the movies, unless I've actually seen them and just think they should go on the list, I look up the movie, I only look for the poster, don't look at anything else. This includes this movie. I didn't look into anything about this.
Which is what I was hoping. I was hoping
I'm not going to look
to keep you in the dark on this.
Like, because what mainly got me to do that is, like, way back, episode 6.
Yeah.
Spookies. Mm-hmm. Both of us knew nothing about this movie.
That was for the best, though.
And we had a great time.
Exactly. Which is why I kind of wanted to deprive you of any, any sense or expectations on this.
Yeah. Just
wanted to tell you, look, I thought this movie was fucking great. And I really wanted to share this with you because this was a deep personal experience for me.
Unfortunately, there are some movies I put on the list that I'm like, yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. But then I'm like, fuck. I want to watch this movie, but I can't because it's on the list and I'm going to spoil it for me.
Well, for me, it's like, no, I'm waiting till either someone else gets it or...
But for me, I'm going to get every single one. So...
Of course, this is your show.
Yeah.
But in my case, it's like, no, if you haven't done it, then, I should wait. And you know what? In the future, I'm not going to be doing movies before you review them. On my channel, I'm not going to review any of the things that you want to do on this show. Like, any future plans you have, I'm not going to step on with my show Movies for Real.
Cool.
I'm really not.
Though I would think...
I like it when I go in not expecting.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
we should jump into this.
I'm going to let you handle the plot.
Yeah, because I know it off the top of my head.
I'm going to interject if I have a comment.
Okay.
But other than that, I'm just going to let this be you because you've seen it twice. You understand it more than I do.
All right, cool. So
and then we'll actually get into an actual. This is going to be new for our show. An actual discussion of the movie, like actual movie critic,
actual philosophical
guy from Neon Demon who's like, oh, technically it's not a triangle, it's a pyramid because this is a pyramid.
That guy. That guy is a special little snowflake.
Like, if you're still watching, dude. What about anything you've ever seen on my channel with the two of us fucking around gave you the impression that we are actually serious critics?
Yeah, or that we really honestly
give a shit
cared about, like, your unique, like, special...
Like, this is
your special Star Platinum eyes are your own, fucker.
Like, this is the thing. If you have an interesting, in-depth look at this movie, cool.
Fine.
Make a video. I'm interested. But just
make a video, or better yet, just like leave a link to it in the description and let us find it.
Don't
right there.
Put analytical essays in my fucking comment section.
It's not even so. It's not even a super unique take on it.
I know.
Because anybody in like middle school could have said the exact same things and possibly even more cohesive than he did.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about this guy anymore.
No, or Neon Demon.
Past this.
Oh, I'm going to shut up and let you talk.
I'm going to start talking about Dr. Jessup now.
Go.
So, okay, Dr. Jessup likes to isolate himself inside
of
Mr.
Gibbon.
Thought deprivation tanks. Well, like, no, not thought deprivation. Just fucking sensory deprivation tanks. And
this one, I think, is a repurposed boiler.
Yeah, the first one that he uses is literally just a boiler that they fashion
got a bowl on his head so he can breathe. And there's a window so they can see him. That's important.
That's super fucking important. That Andrew Arthur's his fucking name. Arthur is watching him constantly at all times.
Yeah, making sure he's not
monitoring his brain and keeping track of his thoughts. And when I say thoughts, I mean his literal brain activity and his ideas, not that hoe over there, you fucking stupid little millennials. If I catch any of you saying, oh, he thinks his thoughts, I'm gonna fucking slap someone.
Look, I'm gonna hope by episode 128 people know what our show is and those type of people will have gone away.
Yeah. Well, if we ever do get any of those, it gives me literally reasons to just constantly be like, I'm not like everybody else. I feel justified in my own intelligence. Anyhow, he floats around in the tank. Arthur watches him. He's in a college basement, basically. And they talk about,
Well, he's a college professor.
Yeah, he's a college professor, and he subjected several of the student body to these, to various degrees of sensory deprivation, and with various drugs. Whatever.
He just really liked it personally.
Yeah, and most of them actually did also. He talks, Arthur talks about how the majority have had pleasant experiences under these,
Only 2 or 3 didn't like it.
Yeah. Some of them just ended up having really bad experiences and decided not to do it anymore. But the majority did really like what they saw and what they experienced. So he ends up, getting, spending, maybe hours or an hour or 2 hours just literally
a little too much time.
Tank. Yeah, but at first he's taking it all in moderation,
Yeah.
He's having, religious allegories and stuff like that, but it's nothing super, out of control at first,
One thing you need to bear in mind if you watch this movie is time progresses, but you will have no idea how much time has progressed.
It progresses in increments, and they're very large increments at the halfway point, I'd say.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, it's just kind of okay, it really doesn't pick up until he meets Emily. And when he meets Emily is really the whole, crux, which I feel the movie is kind of based around. It's dealing with his relationship with her mostly.
Yeah.
And I feel that, really gives it a foil, It gives it a reason to actually, more than just self-discovery, it's personal attachment to this other human being, and the way that they both coexist.
He's surprisingly good at picking up women.
He's been told that he's a fucking psychotic.
He's been told that he's
everyone.
He's an arrogant prick,
yeah.
But he's a fascinating arrogant prick.
They've also called him a fascist bastard or something along those lines.
Fascinating bastard.
Yeah, fascinating bastard. That's what it was, not fascist bastard.
Because he has no political leanings at all.
Yeah. But he gets called so many different things, man. But I feel like the main thing is he just straight up turns himself into a kind of a ferocious beast, devolves himself so much in pursuit of
the next thrill almost.
He wants thrill, but he also wants the achievement of finding the inner the inner god.
But we'll get into the discussion at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
But it starts off basically with him going to this party.
He meets a girl.
He meets
they fuck.
He meets a whiz kid named Emily. She
holds
24.
up Cheese Whiz.
Yeah, she's 24 and she's super
teaching at a university. She has her doctorate already.
She's super deep in the whole psychological spectrum also.
Yeah.
And she's writing a master's?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's writing a master's. And she's only 24. And this kind of fascinates Jessup quite a bit because holy shit.
No, she just got her PhD.
Yeah,
and
right.
she's only 24.
Right.
Master's is before your PhD.
Yeah, but they end up spending quite a bit of time together.
Yep.
And it eventually evolves into them having a romance,
And they have sex. After that, he has a vision.
Yeah, he has visions of hell and crucifixions.
And this is the only thing we're going to say about the visions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to spoil anything about them.
It freaked out Merrick quite a bit.
Yep. I think this is the only one that freaked me out.
Yeah, it was
because it's the first one, but after this one, I'm like, okay, that's the tone. Let's do this.
It sets the tone really fast.
Oh yeah.
Which is why, I was hoping just okay, let's just get this going, let's push this right into the deep end, because you know what, he's already in fucking deep water. Why not put the audience in there too? So it eventually just spirals into him doing this deprivation stuff constantly.
Yep.
And at the same time, he's able to snap himself out of it at first.
And then Emily
can separate the two.
Then between the deprivation bits, Emily talks to him and they love each other. She's deeply in love with him.
Yep.
Then they get married. Then she's talking about getting married.
Yeah, this is really early on.
And then they are married and have 2 children. And then they're getting divorced.
Yep.
And then she goes to Africa for something. And he goes off to a very important part. Mexico.
Yep. He goes to Mexico and he finds a bruja.
Yep.
Along with one of his, I guess, this tour guide or something. Yeah. And he ends up going into a cave with this bruja, drinks shroom juice mixed with like blood. It's like it is a literal witch's brew.
Yeah, because of bruja.
Yeah. And he drinks it.
Well, brujo in this case.
Yeah. Well, like, bruja.
It's a guy.
Brujo. Whichever.
Oh, no.
It's a witch doctor.
Yeah.
He saw the witch doctor.
He told him what to do.
Yep.
Oh, no. Is a doctor. Is there nothing I can take us? You put the shroom.
The lizard has a big belly. He said, doctor.
You put the shroom and your own damn blood and mix it all up.
So he finally drinks this like a whole bunch of them are sat around a fire.
Yeah.
And they're all drinking the stuff. And eventually it finally comes his turn, and
he drinks it and he has
a massive hallucination.
Yeah.
Like, he hallucinates hard fucking core.
And the bruja is watching him and is laughing. Like you would.
Well, they all got a good giggle out of it.
Oh yeah, it's like if your friend, when your friend who's never done drugs drops asses at a party and runs out into the woods throwing off his clothes.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. You're gonna follow him, right? For 2 reasons. 1, you're gonna make sure he doesn't hurt himself.
Right.
2, you want to see what the fuck's gonna happen.
But in this case, it's as if your friend literally went to a house party, dropped 2 tabs of acid and a fucking rail of fucking ketamine, and then ran out into the forest and fucking mutilated your neighbor's cat.
Yeah.
Because he fucking rips into a lizard's stomach.
Does.
Just straight up fucking, demolishes this iguana.
And so
he has no idea when.
So he takes a bottle of this stuff home.
Yep. He established that he was going to.
And the doctor rightly tells him, "You guys are fucking stupid. You're not even testing this thing, and you're letting him do 2 grams of it."
Yeah, Dr. Mason's just like, "This is so fucking stupid of you guys."
Do you have any idea how goddamn dangerous everything you're doing is?
Yeah, he compares them to a couple of kids in the fucking
playing with mescaline and mushrooms. Yeah, with mescaline and
fucking
mushrooms.
Mescaline, yeah. But the best part of that entire fucking Mexico scene was just what the witch doctor was telling him at first, because he's telling him bro, you want me to describe this trip for you? I'll fucking describe the trip for you. He's like, what you're gonna see is you're gonna meet the fucking unborn soul.
Your unborn soul.
Yeah, you're gonna meet your unborn soul.
Yeah.
And then this unborn soul will propel you into the void.
The crack between nothing.
Yes, and then in the void you will find the crack between nothings. He's telling him exactly yo, this is what it's gonna do to your fucking head.
Sure you want to do this?
And he's taking 2 G's of this shit every fucking week.
No, he's over the course of the experiments he's put 2 grams in his system.
Well, it's going to the point where he's drinking this quite heavily though.
He's endangering his life and his sanity.
Oh, fucking for real. Yeah, sure, he's still conscious and he's able to snap himself out of it still at this point. But also what he's seeking is fucking absurd.
Yeah, he's seeking the pure self.
Yeah,
true self.
If you hear when he's screaming sometimes in the fucking deprivation tank with Mason around, he's saying do you hear the noises? I can't fucking hear anything over the noises.
It's deafening.
It's deafening. And just literally, Arthur's just standing outside of this thing and just oh my god, holy crap, is he for real with all this? He's onto something.
He's fucked up.
He's fucked up, but he's also onto something,
Yeah.
Even at parties, he's saying yo, I'm gonna find this fucking deeper self. He's I'm gonna find the higher self, Because the motherfucker deserves to come out at this point.
But then he, at one point, he's
gonna wish he's
doing he's having one of his trips in the vat.
Yep.
And they got a new vat now that looks like a repurposed fridge or dumpster.
They found one in a basement somewhere.
And it has no windows at all.
Nothing. It's a black box.
But he's still monitored by sound, so it's okay.
Well, yeah, because the microphone's inside there. They can monitor that.
But he goes in there, and his vision involves, like, tiny furry humans, like early humans. And then he eats a goat, and he emerges with blood on his face. And he can't talk.
After like 5 hours. They left him in there for a long fucking time.
He can't talk anymore.
Yeah, because he's
and
out of breath.
And they find out that he has a sac forming in his throat, which is a simian thing.
Yeah.
And he says, before I reconstitute...
Well, not only that, but it dropped apparently.
Yeah.
Like, the fact isn't that it's there in his throat, but the fact that it kind of dropped to the level of a primordial, like primate levels.
Yeah, simian.
Yeah, very 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 sub-humanoid kind of like very. It's weird that he even feels this and like can see himself devolving.
The smart doctor brings these to a radiologist.
Man.
Brings them to a radiologist.
Yep.
And it's like, this looks like something from a monkey.
Uh-huh.
And like, this looks like something from a gorilla.
This is after him saying that like he was on like this entire mesoteric description of like an environment.
Yeah.
And he saw primordial little chimpanzee looking humanoids. Little furry humanoids running after something to hunt it.
A goat.
Yeah, killing a goat. And he describes killing a goat.
Emily, the kids are older now, and Emily gets home from Africa. And they talk, and he wants some baboon noises.
Yeah, because she was describing pitting baboons into what was it, like telekinetic discussions or like non-vocal communication or something like that? Like, most of them were able to communicate without communicating.
But their shrieks sound like the noises he made in the tank.
Right.
Then he's fucking one of his students.
So, okay. Possibly. This is where it seriously starts. Okay, it starts to divert.
Well, I think it's that because he talked about, I have to see one of my students tonight. Yeah. And then he's in bed with the woman who calls him Dr.
It was one of his students. That's for sure. The person in that scene was one of his students. But that's where I feel it starts to divert. Because the divergence is either this is actually happening or it's not fucking happening. But for all intents and purposes, we're going to say that's happening for now.
Yes.
So, there have
been intermittent scenes like his arm goes all, like, bumpy.
Yeah, it starts with him just sort of, like, having these, like, weird convulsions and stuff in bed with his student. But and then he gets up and he goes to take a shower, and he's like, he gets out and he's like, I'm feeling better. And he's like looking around at his hand, feet, it's fine. Yeah, he looks down at his feet and he's got like fucking 12 simian hobbit toes.
And after the next time he goes in the tank, a raging monkey man comes out, beats some people with a stick.
This is after he witnesses hell in the girl's room.
Yeah. Bad sex.
It fucks. He ain't fuck his. You don't fucks with this. You can't fucks with this.
No, you don't.
But he ends up fucking, going back into the tank late at night without anybody watching.
Very smart.
Yeah. Even though he still had the brain monitor and stuff apparently on him, he gets discovered by a janitor.
Yeah.
And this janitor sees that, like, he starts hearing stuff coming from the room, and it's loud fucking simian screams. And he goes to check on it. He opens the door, and supposedly a fucking monkey man jumps out.
Yeah.
Of this room, and fucking runs away. And he's like, he runs up to the security room, and he's like, he gets one of the security guards, and he tells him, like, yo, there was a fucking monkey inside of the one of the labs. The guy's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like some sort of animal, a fucking monkey?
I mean, it's not unlikely.
Some sort of wild fucking animal's going on.
It's not unlikely, though.
Yeah.
Because they are at a university, a science place. It's there might be a monkey.
Right.
Like a test monkey. It's possible.
Yeah, and it's always possible that they brought an animal into the room.
Yeah, it's not like... if you're at, like, Dawson and they're like, there's a monkey loose.
But then again, if it were a monkey, one of them would have been in there too, no?
Presumably.
To watch the animal, correct?
Correct.
Exactly. Which is what confused the fuck out of him, because there's nobody else in there. It was just this fucking wild animal loose in the lab. So this thing busts out.
Blargle, blargle.
Goes into borgle, borgle.
Yes, it's a monkey sound, right?
Yeah, that's what monkeys. That's what the sound of monkeys are.
Blargle, argle.
Bargle, argle. And he goes into the boiler room, and it's like he's down in the basement screaming borgle, argle. And the guard chases after him for a while. He gets beat with his own stick.
He runs out.
He's doing a bunch of crazy parkour shit all over the fucking place.
He gets attacked by dogs. Goes to the zoo.
Yeah, eventually he breaks out after he beats both the janitor and the guard.
Not to death, though, because he says he didn't kill anyone.
At least knocks them out, though.
Yeah.
Like, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
If you hit someone with a stick.
Yeah.
And
they were knocked on their ass
they
by
stopped
something,
moving.
That's for sure.
Then they were at least knocked unconscious. That's just normal.
Yeah, at the very least, they were knocked on their ass by something.
Yeah.
Someone or something. Something knocked them on their ass.
And that something was a monkey man.
Yeah, and it gets chased by the dogs all the way to the zoo, Boston Zoo.
Where it eviscerates and eats a goat after bonking in the head of the rock.
Yes, he has several little adventures with some of the animals.
Yeah, he's a fun adventure in the zoo.
Yeah, he gets fucking chased by the dogs. He fucking punches an elephant in the head. He tries to grab some meat from a fucking saber-toothed tiger.
No, just a normal Bengal tiger, but still.
It was a big fucking
the tiger.
The
tiger's like, fuck off.
It might as well have been a saber-tooth fucking.
But the tiger's like, fuck you, it's my food. Go away.
Yeah, it slaps his hand away. Even though that meat probably would have fucking felled his hunger because he's literally just in caveman mode.
Yeah.
He ends up getting his hand slashed away by the
But he's in caveman mode, which is why he realizes, shit, tiger.
Yes.
Bigger than me. I am food.
But he still throws something in the cage.
Yeah, it's like, fuck you. So
he throws like a rock at it, and then he finds a goat enclosure. And he ends up throwing a rock at one of the fucking sheep, and then dragging it away and fucking tearing into it. And he ends up getting found that morning, for sure. Like, we know this for a fact. Found in that fucking enclosure, in that very same enclosure, normal. But with the ripped open goat also. He got picked up by the fucking cops at this point. He got picked up by the cops and was fucking, like, held in jail for being in the enclosure with the goat.
Yeah.
Like,
understandable, because he was there with the
this happened.
Eviscerated goat.
Yeah, this happened. This is a thing that happened. So, like, there's no denying that part. That part literally, like, he gets picked up by Emily and Arthur, who take him back home. Yeah. And they take him back home, and they start talking about, like, okay, seriously, I'm not that mad at you, but there's nothing on Earth that probably could have prepared either of us for the cops telling us
you ate a goat, man.
Yeah, that there was a goat fucking ripped apart in the zoo and you were found in the goat enclosure
naked.
So
they're like, hey, you should probably stop doing this thing. It's like, no, man, it was great.
Yeah. It was fucking fantastic, bro.
And so he goes in again.
Emily tells him, no, don't do the experiment anymore.
So he's like, I'm going to do the experiment again.
So he goes, I do experiment, though.
And all hell breaks loose this time.
Like, this is where it just straight up, like, they're like, okay, we're going to fucking put you in the tank again. Let's see what the fuck happens.
He turns into the deadlights from The Shining. No, from It.
They set up cameras inside of it, finally.
And
at this point, they actually have the fucking brain.
Just seeing it, and it's like shows this flashing white light. He turns into a cocoon.
Yeah.
He's screaming in pain. And
after the fucking pipes bend and fucking the massive light knocks Arthur on it. No, not even Arthur. Knocks Mason on his ass when the fucking door flies open on him. And it's just flashing lights and glitch
Mason's
screens.
like, actually, heroes up here and like, I gotta get Emily out of this.
Max, headroom a la the fucking Max on these fucking TVs.
And So
Emily finally goes into it though, and opens the door,
gets him out,
and ends up like calming him down, touching his face and stuff.
And so
after she saw him like in the glowy cocoon.
Later on that night, Mason and Arthur are screaming at each other over it.
Yeah, they go back home, and Arthur's like, "Yo, I won't be able to sleep for a year.
Like, what
after
the fuck
this.
do we do with this? This is like scientific discovery, but I don't know what it means."
And he's like, "What about you, Mason? What do you think about all this?" Mason's like, "I don't care. I don't know what the fuck I saw. I just want to go to sleep."
Understandable.
Yeah. So they just like they end up just like pointing at each other, like fucking screamy, like just debating hardcore on what actually is happening, what's not happening, what did they just subject themselves to, what is Jessup onto with this.
And then
he's not talking. He's like almost catatonic at this point, because he is so rooted in his shroom trips and fucking mental constructs that he is just literally like inconsolable and unrelatable at this point to any of them. He has gone off the fucking deep end with these experiments. And they are like, "We have fucking had enough." Mason's like, "I'm fucking done. I want to shut this shit down. You guys are taking this shit way too fucking far." And Arthur's going, "But he's onto something though.
Yeah,
we finally have something here to show for all this work."
So it's not worth his life, dude.
And he's like, "We gotta do this. We have to try.
We can't return to the hatch, though."
Yeah, we will not return to the hatch.
We will not go to second level.
But I must return to the hatch. I'm just capping the audio with this shit right now.
Yeah, this episode deserves it, I think.
Yeah.
So later on at Emily's house,
this is all going on though.
Jessup just fucking freaks out, turns into like a one-armed goblin man.
Yeah, he's just kind of, I don't know how to explain it.
He's going into like it's weird. He's going between forms and like punching the wall. He's going like normal him, freak him with like the snow from a television effect over him. It's just and Emily's like, "Please, you can stop it. It happens because you believe it to happen. Because you think it happens, just stop it." He's becoming kind of a boiled up, like he looks like
Geiger monster.
He looks a lot like Dr. Pretorius's second form in From Beyond. Yeah, not like the big like Cthulhu goblin he becomes, but like
this movie is super Cthulhu-esque.
Oh yeah.
Like amazingly so. This has
not Cthulhu-esque, but at least a Lovecraft story.
But this is Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
Like on the same level as Reanimator was.
Yeah.
You mentioned like I want all of them like in a room, just all of these like fucking super geniuses.
These crazy ass super scientists.
And honestly, you know what? Of all the people in that room, he would be the most sane.
Yeah, the least sane would be Dr. Chenard from Hellraiser.
For real.
Because his shit's based in magic.
This is a box that contains hell itself.
What was your theory again, Dr. West?
Death is just a state of being
that
for
we
the
can
body
cure.
That we can reverse and cure.
Right. The next, then, like, after he cycles through them, he finally, like, holds himself into his own form.
Yeah.
And presumably he and Emily live happily ever after.
It's this huge like struggle for him to basically like,
which interestingly
force himself back to
I
normal.
was watching, I was like, this is really familiar.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, that episode of South Park.
Yeah.
With the dog whisperer as the nanny. This happened.
It's that exact part, but
and it's that exact bit with the punching the wall and everything. And I told Gio,
it's done with that. Yeah, I don't watch a lot of South Park.
I do.
think I've mentioned that.
I wrote an essay on South Park once for satire.
Yeah, but I haven't watched too much of it, and I feel like I need to watch more. But I never noticed that was a thing.
Yeah.
So you telling me that, I was like, oh, okay, that's fucking good. The people that created South Park, they fucking watched this. This is good. But it's that scene, but Cartman has someone opposite him in like red and black.
Yeah,
sort of static.
Like looking like she's made of magma.
Yeah, but he's like it's just Cartman in the show.
But they do live happily ever after. And this was a really good movie.
Yeah, he finally just gets control of himself and grabs her and tells her, like, look, I love you.
So,
I'm sorry.
Is there anything you want to discuss with this one? Like, any questions you want to ask me before we score it and call it a video?
Shit, tons. God.
Keep it short.
Yeah, I know. We're going to talk about this for a little bit. We've got about 10, 20 minutes.
Yep.
First I asked you, like, right away at the beginning, I asked you, like, what do you feel about your... like the proposition, like the possible opinion of having a higher self spiritually.
And my belief is...
or the pursuit of the higher self.
You have a higher self,
mm-hmm.
and that is ideally what the goal of your life should be.
Mm-hmm.
And your higher self is who you are in your afterlife.
Yeah, and Jessup is not wrong in pursuing this higher self.
The extents to which he goes to
that is another
wrong.
Story.
Those are wrong.
Yes.
Because he pushes everyone away from him.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde if he didn't push himself to an extreme.
True.
And people have to push their limits to find out what those limits are.
Yeah, but he finds out the limits, and then he goes past those. That's the problem.
Right. Which, again, like, okay, to quote Alan Watts, for some people, this is the right decision to go out and explore the forests of their mental psyche, you know? To go past their boundaries, go past their borders, and, you know, sail around in an open sailboat.
But my problem with how he does it...
Yeah, but not everybody should be going around in an open sailboat.
But my problem with how he does it...
Yeah.
Is if it was just affecting him...
Yeah.
Fine, if it's just affecting you, do whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
But he's clearly hurting people around him by doing this. And
but
that's where
kind of the whole point.
That's where my problem comes. But
yeah, but then it gets into literally the whole, you know, the whole facility of, you know, is he addicted to this state of being?
I believe he is.
Which, yeah, he's definitely a fucking a psychonaut junkie. You know, he's off his rocker with how much he's fucking consuming of all of these substances.
Strange drug made from his own blood from Mexico.
It started out with like probably what, like acid and mescaline and
magic mushrooms, weed.
Probably, yeah.
It's 1980.
No, because probably not weed, because these are the types of people. Obviously, they're passing around the fucking joint at a house party, that 70s show style. You know?
Because this is the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, 1980 this was made, so a lot of them have been through the 70s.
Yeah, it's super hippie, free love.
Presumably the 60s, too.
Right. But these are the type of people that's like, okay, yeah, sure, if smoking weed's your thing, go ahead. But these are people that are fucking exploring well past, like, beyond that, you know? They're not going to fucking shoot up, like, fucking heroin or something. No, these aren't fucking heroin junkies. These are fucking people who are like, oh, this is hardcore shrooms? Like, we found fucking hardcore shrooms in fucking Amsterdam? Yo, let's try this shit, bro. Like, we are gonna fucking do this in the most high state of mind.
But they are scientists.
And studying, yeah.
So they're not gonna go over mostly, because they understand the risks.
Right. But he takes it to, you know, another level.
Too far.
Because they tell him straight up, like, bro, if you don't fucking, if you're not careful, you're gonna fucking burn yourself out. And he's like, no, man, I'm gonna find the higher self bastard, or I'm gonna go mad trying this shit. I will. And honestly, he's fucking.
Unfortunately, he's also gonna drag Arthur down with him if he does that.
Right. And I mentioned, like, multiple times, like, he must look like a fucking complete maniac.
Yeah.
To these motherfuckers. He seriously must.
He is.
And yeah, he does. But at the same time, he's speaking sense. Like, even in his most, like, fucked, I feel he still makes sense.
But even then, once you get to the point where you turn into a fucking monkey man, rampage through the zoo, and tear a goat... Well, either way, he still tore a goat apart.
At least a lizard. He
definitely fucked up a lizard.
Or was a practical joke by the fucking...
Best.
Bruja, like he mentioned.
He threw off his clothes, attacked two innocent people in the college, and ran off and tore a goat in half in the zoo.
Yeah.
So that's if you're at that point, you should probably stop.
Right. But okay, we're gonna step a little bit away from if this actually happened. I want to kind of tackle if it didn't.
Okay.
So if this didn't happen, the possibility, the pure possibility that he could devolve into this fucking monster should have been a deterrent enough.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's probably the most impactful lesson of all this entire movie is just, what you could fucking do to yourself.
It's possible that the monkey is symbolic.
It is.
Just like
just like the last scene.
Like an interpretation of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is that he's not turning into a different person. He's becoming his baser instincts, his baser desires.
Yes, and this altered
Which
state.
is why the best, actually my favorite movie of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is the one, I think it's from the mid-30s, early 40s.
It's
where
him becoming the primeval man.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, like Dr. Jekyll is him like with his hair like well groomed and the glasses and everything. Yeah. And Mr. Hyde is the hair as well. The glasses are off and he's grinning like a madman with wide ass eyes.
Yeah.
Like it's clearly the same person but different modes of carrying oneself. It's not like let's say the Page Master, which was by the way my introduction to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Right.
Where Dr. Jekyll is a scientist and Mr. Hyde's a green monster. It's
It's not the Hulk.
It's why a lot of interpretations of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, what I think ties into this, why a lot of them have Mr. Hyde look apish or cavemanish. Mm-hmm. It's I think there's real inspiration in this one from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I must say.
Oh, for real. And it's obvious that the comparisons are there. And you can make as many as you want.
Well, you can compare it to anything if you have enough evidence.
This is direct, inspiration. This is super sensitive to that. I feel there's no running away from that comparison.
We're doing actual film critique,
right? Right, Barry?
Yeah. Why? Why are you making me do this? I just had hours of school today. Why are you making me do more school?
Because it's good for you.
It's not good for me.
But he's on this fucking huge kick, man, of just figuring out, what's best for, this state of being. And this altered state is him basically becoming the fucking furtive pygmy and the possibility of finding the dark soul within him. And fucking becoming mad with rage and fucking becoming an antediluvian horror.
But will he rekindle? Or will he let the world die in darkness?
He does finally at the end of the movie, and it's debatable whether or not this entire thing was even real, or if it was just a fucking trip, as if he was in a fucking it was one of his lives in Planescape or some shit.
Yeah,
it's out there. For real. I watched this shit on fucking LSD first time. Okay? My notes on this shit were fucking in depth.
Rambling nonsense.
Okay, granted, one of the first things I wrote was shaboom shaboom. Donati ding dong, shaboom shaboom.
At one point, I did get to Tony Stark level.
Yeah.
I was like, in the immortal words of Tony Stark, I come back into the glass of Bailey's. I need a drink.
Yes. But I also wrote down things like he has become true man.
Yes.
And this is primeval man. Yes. What he is thinking of is literally, as quoted, the first thought. Back to literally the very first inkling of what it is to live. What it is to be.
Drink, survive.
Eat, drink, sleep, survive.
Yeah.
And fighting for everything that you have and tracking something down because you need it.
Yeah.
Not because you want it.
Just because you need it. You need to eat it or you will die.
Yes. It will sustain you. Warmth, shelter.
Food.
All of these things come through survival. And honestly, primeval man doesn't even come close to describing like exactly what he could have possibly become, because he could have become a great old one.
Yeah.
You know, you saw the rape scenarios and the fucking. So he could have easily become an antediluvian horror.
Yes.
He could have become a fucking Cthulhuoid monster. Okay, in pursuit of this deeper self.
Yeah, he could have easily become Dr. Pretorius from Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
That's so weird to say, from Beyond.
Right. Well, you could just say from Beyond. I'll know what you mean. I'm sure most other people that have been keeping up with the show have also. But it depicts literally just fucking goat-headed Jesus on a fucking crucifix.
With many eyes. But if this is your first episode...
Rape scenarios. It could have gone
bad. If this is
bad.
your first episode of Mindbreakers, I'm really sorry.
Right.
But this, I think, was one of the most fitting movies for that title.
I guess so, yeah. It's like, okay, you know what? This is kind of why I picked it up. I was like, you know what? This is gonna break our shit.
It didn't break my mind, but it was eye-opening.
It was enlightening.
I enjoyed it.
It is a very enlightening film.
And it is entertaining.
Yes. As dark as it is, it's quite enlightening.
Yeah.
It gives you a very good perspective of, what it is to be.
It starts out...
It opened my eyes, that's for fucking sure.
What I'm going to say isn't really so much something like deep and enlightening about it, but one thing about the filmmaking quality is with the time jumps it has. Like, you have some of the visions, but with the way time progresses after each one.
Yeah, but none of that really matters.
Let me explain. Let me finish my actual point here.
What?
It's... Like, with the time progressions, it's... easing you in to a surreal atmosphere with this film.
For real, yes.
It's like The Shining, how it has like this long later, this long later.
And it's also filmed very well too.
Oh yeah, it's filmed amazingly.
There's
a reason this film made me want to watch The Shining again.
Yeah. This is making me want to go back into the Kubrick.
I don't want to go back into Kubrick. It is good.
Yep. It was a very good movie, honestly. Like the science in it is sound also, and like it's just out there enough for it to be, like it's just fringe enough for it to be almost true and real, and this is rooted in science fact rather than complete science fiction, and that's probably the best part.
It's more science fiction than science fantasy.
Right.
It's like it's sci-fi more on the level of like the Time Machine or Canticle for Leibowitz, as opposed to Star Trek or Star Wars.
Yeah, but you could just easily take any of these parts that you're not sure if they are actually real.
Or The Invisible Man.
Sure. But
that's a good one.
You could take any of those scenes where it's like you're not sure if this was actually happening to the character or not, and just easily say, okay, let's assume that they actually didn't happen, and this is just all going on in his mind.
Yeah.
And you can take them as, just interpretations of what's going on in the relationships and things in his life, how it impacts him. And honestly, you know what? The cocoon, the glowy cocoon, and everything, the fucking the weird primeval man scene, all of that would be right at home, just being flashes in his skull.
Because with the primeval man scene,
because they can't see.
It does go in terms of film style.
Yeah, but they are worried about
into a full monster movie, basically.
Yeah, exactly, and they were worried about him becoming this monster.
Yeah, he was worried. He thought he was regressing genetically, especially with the throat thing.
Oh, for real? And he tells, he writes down, literally after he gets out of that fucking 4-hour experience, get me a piece of paper and get me X-rays and get me blood work and get me this and get me that before I reconstitute. He wants it done right away, which brings me to one final thing I want to mention about the Alan Watts thing.
Yeah.
There was a guy who took a hit of nitrous oxide.
Okay, laughing gas.
Yeah, to just literally get a super fast brain blast of an experience and try to get to the core of consciousness, to the core of existence. And he grabbed a pen and paper and he just wrote down the first thing that came to mind in that experience.
Yeah. And
then he looked back at it after, I think, an hour or something to see what he wrote. And literally the first thing he wrote down was all of experience is the smell of burnt omelets.
Whoa, okay.
That was the first thing he wrote.
And we have gone on a while. I know you guys don't have all the time in the world to listen to these, so we're going to...
The core of this was he could have fucking died. He was a schizophrenic mess.
Yes.
And that it was a very good trip all around.
How do you rate this film?
Man, that is probably the hardest question you've asked me during all this. Like, rating this movie, I don't think even does it justice. Honestly, this is like beyond, you know, any kind of numeric numbering. You know what? I seriously, I feel like giving this.
Yeah, like any of your ratings have ever made actual sense, Gio.
You know what? I'm gonna give it one thing.
Okay.
I will give it